This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Friday, so usually I'm not trolling. I'm getting ready to do some freak showing. We got some breaking news today. Apparently, President Biden is ready to announce his pick for the Supreme Court, and it's the best we could possibly hope for. News came out this morning. Ketanji Brown Jackson will be the nominee for Justice Breyer's seat as he retires. I think the White House said they were going to speak at 1:45 Eastern Time, which is about 15 minutes from now. I've got the Washington Post pulled up over here. They just started broadcasting. They had a live shot of the White House up until a few minutes ago. We'll listen in on what they have to say. They did a good job covering the Ukraine invasion yesterday. So let's see what they got to say.
Hannah, set the scene and backdrop for us of this announcement, especially as it comes at this tense and fraught time.
Okay, so this is an issue. Sometimes OBS does weird things if I don't have my board turned on before I start broadcasting, and I didn't have my board turned on before I started broadcasting. I hear everything except them.
Ukrainian flags who
On
are
the Washington Post.
more U.S. sanctions on Russia, cut Russia off from SWIFT, the international banking system, and chanting no war in Ukraine. So this is the backdrop before which Biden makes his historic announcement 2 years to the day that actually he made that campaign promise.
I guess I'll do this show without headphones today.
U.S. Supreme Court in its
I assume you guys can hear it because I see the
decided to press ahead in spite of the situation.
I see the waveform bouncing.
Get this announcement out before the end of Black History Month, wanting to mark that anniversary of his promise as well. And so about 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be expecting to hear from the.
Oh, so about 2 p.m., not
as well. And
1:45, as I was told. I'm gonna have to pack a bong for this.
Rather, she will be joining the 3 to 6 on the 3 side of liberal justices.
Warlord, welcome.
The Senate. Democrats are hoping for a speedy confirmation by April. However, we know that Republicans will put up a stiff fight. And
I don't know that they're even going to get her confirmed. And that may be one of the reasons why the Biden administration was okay with putting her forward. She's the best the left could fucking hope for. By far.
Thank you so much, Hannah Jewell. Let's bring Ann Marimo into the conversation. She writes about legal.
What's up, Ann?
Washington Post and has profiled Ketanji Brown Jackson. So first of all, tell us about Judge Jackson. Let's start with the basics of her biography and who she is.
Sorry, Judge Jackson.
So Judge Jackson was born in D.C. in 1970. Both of her parents started their careers as public school teachers.
Dip, welcome. Thank you for the raid.
To Miami.
Reverse Clown Girl. Thank you for the follow. Less than an hour ago, before we were broadcasting.
Studying.
I love your name, Reverse Clown Girl.
Doing her coloring books, and she really calls herself a Miami girl. She had a very successful high school career. She was a high school debate champion, elected class.
Sure, this is going to be fun. Hold on, let me go grab a bong.
And from a young age knew that she wanted to be a lawyer, and in her high school yearbook says she hoped one day to have a judicial appointment.
You wrote about her describing herself as a child of the 70s. What did she mean by that?
Yes, she meant that her parents had come of age in the civil rights movement and taught her from a young age that her
Pulling the pretty one out.
As a young black girl, that she could do whatever she wanted to if she put her head down and worked hard.
Man, daytime lighting doesn't do me any favors. I don't look good in the harsh lighting of the sun.
At night, plays, being elected class president.
So 51 years old, and if she is indeed confirmed by the Senate, she would be the
I look
second
like I should still be in my casket.
second only to
The lighting in here is way better.
President Trump, right? So
of an evening when
give us a
dark.
sense of her career.
We've got
she
mood
had this
lighting going
ambition,
on.
This goal of being a judge, but she didn't necessarily have.
I once had a boss tell me I'm a good-looking guy. I could make it on television. I don't know, sir. I don't know.
Where she studied government, and her senior thesis was about which she
I
perceived
mean, I
to
did
be
look a
some,
lot different.
Unfairness in the criminal justice system. She went on to
Fucking
Harvard
15
Law
years
School,
ago, though.
and then she did have a very varied career. She was a clerk for 3 federal judges, culminating with a clerkship for Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer, who she would replace if she is confirmed. She worked in the private sector for a few law firms. She went on to get
RT, is that where you want me to get a job? You want me to go work with
sentencing policy, and then most notably for her supporters, she
little
was
dude looks like Geddy Lee. What's his name? I like him.
where she was representing poor criminal defendants, and this
He's
really
like the
gave her
flagship of the
view
RT
criminal
programming
justice
here.
system.
He's a comedian. He's funny.
Before the Senate, through this confirmation process, in her most recent time before the Judiciary Committee, she was asked
Lee's
about
something,
how
isn't it?
race plays into her decisions by one of the Republicans. And talk to us. There's been so much focus on the importance of President Biden picking a black woman, but talk to us about how she's dealt with that spotlight and some of the,
President Biden is going to officially announce his pick,
have sort of a dangerous
Ketanji Brown Jackson, for the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's really
In about
interesting.
20 minutes, it would seem.
Circuit nomination hearing, which just happened last spring when Biden
She is the best that the left could hope for. She was a public defender.
was less
She
contentious.
represented
She did get some tough questions from
represent
Republicans.
prisoners accused in Guantanamo Bay. She has sided with labor multiple
The Trump
times.
administration, but she made it very clear that her life experience informs her work on the bench, but she knows her role as a judge. She talks about how she consults the text and the facts.
She
of the
had
case
she
and
graduated from
makes every
Harvard,
decision, and has been bound.
and that was one of the things that, like, Jim Clyburn, Lindsey Graham were trying to use against her to push the other lady,
but she did get the support of 3 Republicans.
who was
for
incredibly
the circuit
corporatist.
nomination.
And stay with us. I want to bring into the conversation Rhonda Colvin and James Homan, who joined me here from the newsroom. So, Rhonda, let's talk about the historic nature of this. President Biden pledged back on the campaign trail that he would nominate a black woman to serve on the Supreme Court should he have the opportunity to
Well, that's racism.
Talk to us about
Yuck,
the
yuck.
origins and significance at the time of that announcement.
Yes, he did say this.
Well,
back
that's
on the
racist
campaign
against
trail
all
as he
the
was trying to
white
campaign
people that were
President back
extremely
in.
qualified to be on the
And,
Supreme
This
Court.
is something, the behind the scenes is that
They were replacing Justice Stephen Breyer, who is retiring at the end of this Supreme Court term.
saying that
This is
out
for
in public
Breyer's
during
seat.
debates on the campaign trail, saying that he would.
Good Lord, I wish they would add seats to the Supreme Court.
History. So this does go back much further than Justice Breyer's announcements that he would be retiring, and Biden.
We wouldn't get that lucky.
To do so, and if we can, let's take a listen to those comments.
Well, I've been studying candidates' backgrounds and writings.
Now, as we covered a few weeks ago, the Republicans still have a trick because of the joint power sharing agreement that they have. It's going to take one Republican on the Judiciary Committee
that person will be
voting to advance Jackson's nomination,
it's long overdue in my
and I doubt they're going to do that.
commitment during the campaign.
So in order to get her to a floor vote, they would need Manchin or Sinema. They need both of them
And
to change the rules for the filibuster,
is the person
which they've both said they won't do. We've got a very interesting showdown coming up over this
been looking at with
Supreme Court
Biden's,
seat.
Statements, or looking for a statement that he has, what he feels about the situation. And about 10 minutes ago, he did put out a statement saying, "This is a glass ceiling that took far too long to shatter, and I commend President Biden for taking a sledgehammer."
At least this time, we are replacing a liberal with a leftist.
process and beyond. So there's been a lot of questions.
It has been a long time since that's happened.
Feel about this, given that this was his idea. He also had a candidate he was pushing, Michelle Childs. She is a jurist down in South Carolina.
Yes, Michelle Childs was the one I was referring to that was very corporate friendly.
Not happen. And in Clyburn's statement, he did say Michelle Childs would have been a great pick, but he is going to go ahead and support this nominee. So that's what we've heard so far from.
Oh, I fixed it. I've got audio in my headphones now.
This morning since this announcement came out.
Yay.
I should point out that this is not historically unusual for a president to make a pledge like this. Think about Reagan back in October of 1980. He said he would pick a woman, and it's thought he did that because his polling numbers weren't quite that high with women at the time, and that was right before he was running for election. You also had George H.W. Bush when he was looking to fill the seat of Thurgood Marshall.
Not high enough for this ship.
Would involve minorities and women. And then you also had, not that long ago, President Trump, who said point blank he wanted to fill RBG's seat with a woman. So this is not unusual for a president to make this type of commitment, and this is really all about Biden kind of sticking to that commitment he made a couple years ago.
And he delivered. This is
of naming.
I get into a lot of fights with people
James,
further to the left than I am
what President Biden was looking
about
for,
the usefulness of voting.
thinking about
Here you have it. Like this is the red meat for the left.
Absolutely, Libby. This is a woman who is just turned 52 or is in her early 50s, born in 1970. Someone who could, in theory, be on the Supreme Court for 30, 40 years.
Good.
And could
Black don't crack either.
President Biden was formerly the chairman of the Senate Judiciary.
She don't look fucking 50.
Understands that this is going to be a key part of his legacy, that we are going to be seeing pictures and video of this moment of him introducing her in any kind of package about the Biden legacy, that this will be part of his own obituary.
And she has had Republican support in the past.
Seriously. And in a lot of ways,
when she was nominated to the federal courts,
it is the most conventional of the choices that Biden had narrowed it down to, which really has become a pattern with this president, which is that he, makes sort of the conventional expected choice. Doesn't make it any less historic, but this is a nominee who follows kind of the Harvard-Yale pipeline. Assuming she gets confirmed, there will be 4 Harvard law alums and 4 Yale law alums on the court, with Amy Coney Barrett from Notre Dame being the 9th. This is someone who kind of has followed a very traditional trajectory, as has been noted. She now on the DC Circuit holds Merrick Garland's seat, which was obviously who was Obama's nominee, unsuccessful for the seat that Antonin Scalia had held. So she does come with a lot of the conventional qualifications, but it's not just that she's going to be the first African-American woman on the court, assuming she's confirmed. It's also that she's going to be the first public defender to
I was going to go into her bona fides. So studied at Harvard University. Persuaded a law firm to take a case pro bono. And Obama eventually commuted his sentence. So she has worked for social justice. Another uncle served as Miami Police's chief. During her time at Harvard, Jackson led protests against a student who displayed a Confederate flag from his dorm window. She also performed improv comedy. This is one of the controversies surrounding her. She served on a sentencing commission until 2014. During her time on the commission, it retroactively amended the sentencing guidelines to reduce the guideline range for crack cocaine offenses. Enacted the Drug Minus 2 Amendment, which implemented a 2-offense level reduction for drug crimes. RB! According to Shahil Kapoor, writing for NBC News, Jackson fits well with the Democratic Party and the progressive movement's agenda due to her relative youth, background as a public defender, and history of labor-friendly rulings. Politico reported that Jackson is popular with liberal legal activists looking to replace Breyer with a justice willing to engage in ideological combat with the court's conservatives.
More about Judge Jackson's personal life experience. A lot was made of Amy Coney Barrett being a mother. Judge Jackson is also a mother. And then she's had experiences on both sides of the law in terms of having a relative who was in the justice system incarcerated, as well as having members of her family who work in law enforcement.
Yeah, she has a really fascinating background. She grew up in a family where her dad was the attorney for the local Miami-Dade school board. Her mother was a high school principal. She had uncles who worked in law enforcement, including one who went to become the police chief of Miami.
ACAB means him too.
She also had an uncle, a distant uncle, who was locked up by a harsh 3 strikes law when she was at Harvard as a freshman. A really interesting story, when she was working in the federal defender's office in DC, she heard from this uncle who'd been imprisoned for life under these harsh laws, asking her for help. Later, when she was in private practice, she referred him to a law firm that was filing clemency petitions, and eventually the Obama administration granted clemency to her uncle, and he did get out. But as you say, she's had this really varied experience on lots of sides of the criminal justice system. And then on her personal side, she is a wife and a mother. Her husband is a surgeon here in DC. They met at Harvard. They have 2.
So we're about 15 minutes away from Biden making the official announcement.
She's talked really openly about.
I assume that Jackson will be there with him. Usually the
and how she's had to balance.
Nominees appear with the president when he makes the official announcement.
Reporting on this. Rhonda Colvin, let's go back to you to talk about this process, because of course today is a crucial day, Rhonda, having this name officially out there, seeing this this presentation today by President Biden. But this is just the beginning, really, or maybe chapter 2 in a very long journey.
It is. The clock basically starts ticking right now in terms of the confirmation process. So once we formally hear this from President Biden soon that she will be the nominee, then the Senate gets involved, and that's the next leg of this process. I spoke with Senator Dick Durbin, who is the Democrat who leads the Senate.
Well, they ain't got nothing fucking better to do. They ain't passing any legislation.
That is the committee tasked with confirmations of federal judicial positions, and I spoke to him about the process and how is he getting ready for this historic moment, as well as this nomination coming at a time where you have an equally divided Senate and every vote is going to count when they get to that full floor vote on this confirmation. So I wanted to
if they get to the full floor vote, that's the thing.
His leadership, he told me that this is sort of a career high point for him. He has not, in his over 2 decades time in Congress, been able to lead an influential committee like the Senate Judiciary Committee. So he does see this as a career moment for him, but he's also aware of some of the challenges that this committee, as well as the Senate broadly, faces. So if we can go ahead and play a clip of this. This is Dick Durbin talking to me last week about the process that will be underway soon.
We want to get this right, not just the right person, that's the first thing, but the right process.
You've said that you would like the...
Well, thankfully, it seems that we did get the right person of the candidates.
And do you have confidence that you can get...
that Biden was choosing from? I think we absolutely got the right person.
April 9th, because if I don't pick April 9th, I have to pick a date in the late weeks of April. And the longer you wait, the more likely things get complicated. I mean, things can happen. So if I have a singular focus, it's to get this done.
Well, I don't think we're going to have like news stories breaking of
We've had one committee member,
Ketanji Brown Jackson, like sexually assaulting
about Biden's choice to pick up
someone while they were drunk at a party when they were in college.
Historically, had
I might be wrong,
people of color in front of it, and there have been...
but I'm just assuming.
...deemed insensitive or things come out that could be inflammatory. Is that something you're concerned about at all, at the optics of all of this?
I've been surprised because...
They might make a big deal about her protesting the kid with the Confederate flag when she was in college.
...seem particularly exercised by assertive women.
I talk about how she's
It is almost like a dog whistle.
participating in cancel culture or some shit.
Raise this as well. I listen to them and wonder if they hear themselves, because it is fair to ask hard questions. These are important jobs.
They don't feel embarrassment. They're incapable of self-awareness, dick.
Over assertive women of color. I don't quite understand it. I can't give you a good explanation.
Do they hear themselves?
Happened in the Supreme Court
Oh, shit.
process.
Do you think we're stupid?
Hit the wrong button. I'm sorry.
Mayor Dick Durbin is talking about the process.
Never claimed to be a professional around
He's
here.
hoping that it will be a calm process. He even thinks this could be an opportunity to recast the Senate Judiciary Committee to be a committee that works in a bipartisan.
We're about 10 minutes away from
interview on
the
our
official
website, of course.
announcement.
But he goes on to talk about how he's working across the aisle. The first call he made after hearing there was going to be this vacancy was to Chuck Grassley, who's
It's also strategic on his part to do it going into the weekend so that
Dick
the
Durbin says he wants
news cycle is not about Russia, Ukraine, but it's about the Supreme Court. This is a smart PR move.
committee through the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation
Holding the
hearings
press conference at 2 o'clock Eastern Time.
included. He also
It's going to be on the 5 o'clock news on all the local
he
stations.
said is on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
It's going to be on the Sunday morning shows.
Mansion and Cinema. Are they going to be on board? It only takes a simple majority to confirm a nominee in the Senate, but of course, in this equally divided Senate structure that we have right now, every vote's going to count. So these are things that are.
I think she's trying to simplistically say it might not make it out of the Judiciary Committee because they are split evenly due to the power sharing agreement
Avenue has been following this nomination
that Chuck
process.
Schumer signed with Mitch
Sungmin,
McConnell.
picking
They
up
will
where
need
Rhonda
one
left off,
Republican
what
to
has the
get
White
her
House
out
been
of
doing to try to
committee. And
reach out
like,
to
I
Republicans
looked at the
to
Judiciary
ensure
Committee.
that
It
this
is not
the
anybody that
process
would.
that President Biden would like to see.
Yes, it's been very important for the White House to give some sort of a bipartisan veneer, even if it's just kind of a show of wanting Republican support, wanting Republican input.
The Republicans are like
Obviously,
Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, Ben Sass, Tom Cotton, Tom Tillis, John Cornyn, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, John Kennedy, and Marsha
the
Blackburn.
eventual Supreme Court nominee. So to that end, President Biden has himself been on the phone having lots of conversations with key swing votes. I know from my reporting that he has spoken with Senator Susan Collins.
So there is
Senator Mitt Romney, all of these senators who
there is no Republican on the Judiciary Committee that I believe, other than possibly Chuck Grassley, who is the ranking member on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, Ben Sass, Tom Cotton, Tom Tillis, Marsha Blackburn, John Kennedy, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, John Cornyn. These are all far-right nut jobs. Not a goddamn one of them will vote to advance Jackson's nomination. Chuck Grassley is the only hope. And I don't think he would do it. I might be wrong. I've been wrong about many things. They need one Republican to advance her through the Judiciary Committee. Or they need both Sinema and Manchin to nuke the filibuster for that specific purpose of getting it out of the Judiciary Committee. So they can bring it to a floor vote. The Republicans have a trick up their sleeve that they can use to hold up this nomination. I'm not going to put it past them to do it. They absolutely will if they can do something to fuck over the Democrats and democracy as a whole. They will do it.
Judiciary Committee, the current White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, was Biden's chief counsel on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So there aren't staffers nor principals.
I think the Democrats may actually retain the Senate
process and the confirmation
and may add a seat or two.
Biden,
So it might not be an issue post-election. It could be an issue post-election.
Interviews with the three finalists.
If Republicans retake the Senate,
Judge Jackson for
Mitch McConnell found a way to hold up the nomination. Republicans retake the Senate.
Retirement announcement.
Mark my word, they will hold that seat open for 2 fucking years in the hopes that Donald Trump or another fucking Republican will win the 2024 election. Yes, son. Mark my word, they will hold the seat open for over 2 years if they can. Then again, maybe Breyer doesn't retire. if the Republicans are holding the seat open, maybe he's like, well, I'm going to come back for another session. Yuck, yuck. Oh, you're saying, nah, they're going to win the Senate. You're not saying, nah, that they're going to hold it open for 2 years. Like, you totally believe that. I think there's some excellent Senate candidates that could surprise some people. They will hold it open for 2.5 fucking years in the hopes that they win the 2024 election. Because that is how horrible Republicans are.
I think that actually having defender experience can help not only the judge, him or herself, in considering the facts and circumstances in the case, but also help the system overall in terms of their interactions with defendants and the way in which they proceed in the courtroom.
That was Judge Jackson.
Jackson at her confirmation hearing.
I just said that
last year. So James, this experience as a public defender is
that was during her confirmation to the federal bench.
To those robes and what she would.
I like the newsman in me kicks in. I feel like I need to describe things. That's why I say a lot of the same things they say.
Process.
It really is, Libby. Republicans see it as an opening to score some political points. As a federal public defender,
James Hallman
defended an inmate at Guantanamo Bay, not by choice. She was automatically assigned that person, and because of legal ethics, she's not able to criticize her former defendant. She was pressed a little bit on the Guantanamo case during the circuit court nomination, but we can expect that she'll be pressed more. She'll also be pressed by Republicans during the confirmation process.
We will totally broadcast the
commission during
confirmation
Barack Obama's
hearing.
First term. She pushed to...
My guess about what, Finboy?
Sentences for a lot of people who had been convicted of and had faced mandatory minimums. That obviously was kind of...
My guess is that...
A lot of what she pushed for was...
Ketanji Jackson probably will not be seated as a Supreme Court justice.
Crime rates are rising around the country. Republicans,
the best fucking nominee Biden could put forward
against her, but she now has been.
But she will not be seated
for a full decade. Nominated to the district court in 2012, and then obviously the circuit court last year.
So yeah, the news leaked this morning. The White House put out an official presser that they are nominating Ketanji Brown Jackson
by her now colleagues on the D.C. circuit. Republicans note that she has a pretty high
we are awaiting the president to speak here in just a few minutes. The best we could have possibly hoped for.
District court,
hands down.
There are some other things I'm hearing from Republicans that they plan to press her on. For example,
Biden's nominees to a lot of posts
illegal immigrant
have been
illegal alien.
Good leftist pick. Not all of them have gotten through, that's for sure.
Because a lot of the statutes actually use those terms. So Republicans think that there's an opening.
Especially when we were talking about like some of the Fed appointments
into the confirmation.
That
process.
one woman.
All of that said,
like all the shit that like Lindsey Graham was saying about her won me over.
And Republicans are sensitive to the.
He was describing her as this radical communist, and she wasn't.
Nominated for the Supreme Court, so they might pull some punches, but it's not going to be entirely smooth sailing for Judge Jackson.
Sungmin Kim, James was talking about sort of pulling those punches and what sort of language Republicans are willing to employ. There will be what happens inside.
Ooh, Republicans are going to be racist as fuck through all of this. You know they will.
And then there's what happens
outside. Oh my, I do not look forward to the Tucker Carlson segment.
So we'll see sort of what levels of attack.
The Steven Crowder bullshit. Oh my God.
They will or will not employ as these.
Washington Post just reminding me of the fucking hellscape we live in.
You'll be watching for. President Biden is set to give his first State of the Union speech on Tuesday. And so this is something that will happen, before that. He's hitting his February deadline. How does this fit into what will happen
the
on
ghost
Tuesday
of Kiev?
night?
Is that like the ghost of Shishimi?
Democrats and Republicans at this moment.
That's what I've been playing on PS5.
It'll be one big topic of his State of the Union speech.
I know that it's like
main topic, of course, this address. You have to encompass a million different issues, and President Biden really has
they're on like
vision for the year.
When it comes to the Ukrainian situation. like, we're on watch for Kiev to fall, and I never would have thought that was going to happen. Oh, it's a jet. Apparently, Zelensky is still holding tight. Unconfirmed reports of an ace Ukrainian fighter pilot have gone viral, with social media users dubbing the fighter the Ghost of Kiev, supposedly downing as many as 6 Russian planes in the first day of combat. The Ghost of Kiev and their MiG-29 Fulcrum quickly became a folk hero in a war breathlessly watched online. According to one widely circulated post, the Ghost of Kiev is believed to have shot down 4 Russian fighter jets, as well as 2 ground attack aircrafts. The reports remain unconfirmed by Ukrainian officials, and the war remains rife with misinformation and propaganda, which is weird coming from the New York Post. I was reading that from the New York Post.
Supreme Court confirmation fights. They know that it's just has really escalated over the last several years, and perhaps this could be a chance to kind of reset, take the heat down a little bit.
Tucker may say the N-word. He may just come right out and say it.
Fight, you to the wall on this.
And he would be applauded for it too.
All right, we see there First Lady Jill Biden, as well as the family members of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who will be coming out with the President of the United States. She will be named as his first nominee to the Supreme Court. A significant moment for President Biden, someone who...
I hope I am wrong and she is seated.
He gets to now choose.
I would very much like to see her on the Supreme Court.
The first Black woman ever to be nominated to the Supreme Court of the United States.
But Republicans still have a trick up their sleeve.
Good afternoon. Today, as we watch freedom and liberty under attack abroad, I'm here to fulfill my responsibilities under the Constitution to preserve freedom and liberty here in the United States of America. And it's my honor to introduce to the country a daughter of former public school teachers, a proven consensus builder, an accomplished lawyer.
Rips in honor of Judge Jackson.
One of the nation's most prestigious courts. My nominee for the United States Supreme Court is Judge Ketanji Jackson. 4 weeks ago when a member of the court, a friend of mine, we used to work together in the Senate, Justice Stephen Breyer, announced his retirement, I said then, choosing someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court is one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has, and I mean it. I promised the process would be rigorous, that I would select a nominee worthy of Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence and decency. Someone extremely qualified, with a brilliant legal mind, with the utmost character and integrity, which are equally as important. And that I would bring this decision, my perspective as a lawyer, former constitutional law professor, chairman of the Judiciary Committee for many, many years, and I'm almost reluctant to say it, someone who's presided over more Supreme Court nominations than almost anyone living today, which makes me 28 years old.
What the fuck?
When I was 32. And who has devoted much of my career to thinking about the Constitution. And
he was channeling his inner George W. Bush there with his little laughter.
Of candidates. I've invited senators of both political parties to offer their ideas and points of view, and I've met with a number of them.
Boy, howdy, does Kavanaugh piss me off.
Because I truly respect not only the consent, I know they give consent, but it says the Constitution says advice and consent. And I sought the advice of Democrats and Republicans. I've consulted with leading legal scholars and lawyers, and I've been fortunate to have the advice of the Vice President Harris, and I mean this sincerely, an exceptional lawyer, a former Attorney General in California, and a former member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And during this process, I look for someone who, like Justice Breyer, has a pragmatic understanding that the law must work for the American people. Someone who has historical perspective to understand that the Constitution is a resilient charter of liberty. Someone with the wisdom to appreciate that the Constitution protects certain inalienable rights, rights that fall within the most fundamental personal freedoms that our society recognizes. In the end, someone with extraordinary character will bring to the Supreme Court an independent mind.
I wish we could live up to that.
And with a strong moral compass and the courage.
I wish that the Fourth and Fifth Amendments were as important to people on the right as the Second Amendment.
Haven't looked like America. And I believe it's time that we have a court that reflects the full talents and greatness of our nation.
Maybe I need to make merchandise about the Fourth and Fifth Amendment and how important they are.
People to believe that they can one day serve their country at the highest level.
New T-shirt coming to the Freak store.
Pragmatism, historical perspective, wisdom, character in the jurists nominated by Republican presidents as well as Democratic presidents. And today, I'm pleased to introduce to the American people.
It's so easy being a right winger. You just put like "shall not be infringed" on a T-shirt and sell 1,000 of them easy.
Miami Republican endorsed you. I thought that was interesting. Her parents grew up with segregation.
Let the woman speak, old man. Get out of the way.
The true promise of America. Her parents graduated from historic black colleges and became public school teachers. Her mom a principal. Her dad a teacher who later went back to school and became a lawyer representing that very school district, that school board. Judge Jackson describes finding her love for the law from an apartment complex at the University of Miami where her dad was attending law.
But I can't imagine the butterfly she's feeling back there.
Table next to her dad's law books.
What a moment.
She grew up to be a star student, elected mayor of her junior high school, and president of her high school class, where she was a standout. She was a standout in the speech and debate team. And it was after a debate tournament that took place at Harvard when she was in high school that she believed she could one day be a student there. There were those who told her she shouldn't set her sights too high, but she refused to accept limits others set for her. She did go on to Harvard undergraduate school, where she graduated magna cum laude. She went to attend Harvard Law School.
I'm not looking forward to it, Femboy.
Editor of the prestigious Law Review.
That's when Washington Post brought that up, the vitriol that she is going to face over the next few months.
United States Supreme Court. And she was
I'm not looking forward to the segments that we're going to have to watch on this show every fucking night.
Was none other than Justice Stephen Breyer.
But man, like this moment for her.
Not only did she...
And I said the same thing when we were watching Trump nominate Amy Coney Barrett.
She saw the great rigor through which Justice...
To work so hard to get to this
point.
point.
From his willingness to work with colleagues with different viewpoints. Critical qualities, in my view, for any...
The magnitude of this moment for the woman
she steps
standing there is just off the charts.
Uniquely accomplished and wide-ranging background. She served both in public service as a federal public defender.
You're in incredibly elite
private law practice
company of jurisprudence.
Lawyer and with a prestigious law firm. If confirmed, she will join Justice.
You may be predicting the future.
The United States Supreme Court who has experience as a trial court judge, a critical qualification in my view, and once again, following the footsteps of her mentor, Justice Breyer, she'd become the only member of the court who previously served as a member of the United States Sentencing Commission. And she brings additional perspective to the court as well. She comes from a family of law enforcement, with her brother and uncles having served as police officers. That's one reason I expect...
I don't blame them to try to use that as deflection from the criticism they're going to get.
And I quote, "There's little doubt she has the temperament, the intellect, and the legal experience and family background have earned disappointment." And they went on to say they're confident
she had the bona fides to be able to point to deflect a lot of the criticism the right is going to come at her with.
Fairly and justly. Incredibly, Judge Jackson has already been confirmed by the United States Senate 3 times. First, to serve on the U.S. Sentencing Commission, A bipartisan independent commission I helped design to reduce the unwarranted.
See, that goes a long way because she's not going to flinch
transparency and fairness.
a fourth time in front of the Senate.
On the commission,
even though it is for the highest court.
Working with Democrats and Republicans to find common ground.
She's going to handle herself well in the confirmation hearings.
She was concerned.
Let her talk, Joe Biden.
Senate with bipartisan support on the federal district court to administer justice with the special rigors and fairness that come with
You
presiding.
bore me.
Third, she was confirmed with bipartisan Senate vote to serve on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, considered the second most powerful court behind the Supreme Court itself. In the court, she once argued cases before as a distinguished advocate. And when Judge Jackson was nominated,
Yeah, you're right, RB.
one of his distinguished retired members, Judge Thomas Griffin, a former
It's something I would never even be able to comprehend.
and a George Bush appointee to the court, said,
Or even just being a man, I can comprehend the vitriol women get.
hailing her
I can't imagine what it would
exemplary
be
legal
like to be
both public and
a
private
woman
practice.
and a person of
Went on
color.
to say, her careful approach as a trial court judge. Judge Jackson's service on the District Circuit Court for the D.C. Circuit Court of
Because
Appeals.
like I see
superb
Sparkle's inbox she sends me of
Three of her
the way dudes talk to
Supreme
her.
Court justices also served as the D.C. Circuit judges, where Judge Jackson's now served.
Joe Biden, shut up!
Always carefully reasoned, tethered to precedent, and demonstrate respect for how the law impacts everyday people. It doesn't mean she puts her thumb on the scale of justice one way or the other, but she understands the
To
broader.
recap, to Ketanji Brown Jackson,
addressing the rights of
fantastic
workers,
pick,
government
the best
servants.
we could have hoped
She
for
cares
from
about
a
making sure that our
Biden
democracy
administration.
works for the American people.
We should all be very thankful for Joe
Looks
Biden.
people in the eye, lawyers, defendants, victims, and families. And she strives
He may have been ineffectual in a lot of ways.
what the law is and what it
But
means.
this is a good pick for
She
Supreme
strives
Court.
to be fair, to get it right, to do justice. That's something all of us should remember. And it's something I've thought about throughout this process. As a matter of fact, I thought about it walking over here with her. One floor below, we have several displays celebrating Black History Month. One
Oh,
of-
we don't need you talking about Black History Month, Joe Biden. Shut the
and
fuck.
signed by Justice Thurgood Marshall himself.
Let the
an
woman
oath
that's making history speak.
Once again administered to a distinguished American who will help write the next chapter in the history of the journey of America. A journey that Judge Jackson will take with her family. I hope I don't embarrass him, but her husband Patrick.
So we're probably 2-3 weeks out from confirmation hearings.
There you go. They met when they were
Durbin said April 3rd, didn't he? Or April 6th.
distinguished cancer surgeon at Georgetown. And like so many women in this country, Judge
Before
Jackson,
Biden walked out.
she had her eldest child, Talia, when she was a private lawyer in practice. She had her second child, Layla, when she served as on the U.S. Sentencing Commission. Stand up, Layla. I asked Layla when I showed her through the office whether she'd like to be president. She looked, no. There's other things. Anyway, Layla, you're welcome to be here. Thank you so much. And
I'd
welcome-
take Layla over you, Joe. We need new blood. Old, crusty white men need to step down, step away.
Always a mom. That's
Go
not-
home, enjoy retirement.
You're on-
Shine your bald spot, sir.
And I've always had a deep respect for
I can recommend
the branch of the government. I mean it.
a wax to
Court
use
is
that I
equally
use on
important to the
mine.
presidency or the Congress. It's co-equal. So today, I'm pleased to nominate Judge Jackson, who will bring extraordinary qualifications, deep experience and intellect, and a rigorous judicial record to the court. Judge Jackson deserves to be confirmed as the next Justice of the Supreme Court. I've met with the chairman and ranking members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Chuck Grassley, and my hope is that they will move promptly, and I know they'll move fairly. Judge Jackson,
Grassley's your only hope, sir.
the podium is yours. Let me pull this.
Grassley going to vote to advance her.
There you go.
Grassley's your friend, right, Joe Biden? That was your thing. That was your selling point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What up, Judge Jackson?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am truly humbled by the extraordinary honor of this nomination, and I am especially grateful for the care that you have taken in discharging your constitutional duty in service of our democracy with all that is going on in the world today. I also offer my sincerest thanks to you as well, Madam Vice President, for your invaluable role in this nomination process. I must begin these very brief remarks by thanking God for delivering me to this point in my professional journey. My life has been blessed beyond measure, and I do know that one can only come this far by faith. Among my many blessings, and indeed the very first, is the fact that I was born in this great country. The United States of America is the greatest beacon of hope and democracy the world has ever known. I was also blessed from my early days to have had a supportive and loving family. My mother and father, who have been married for 54 years, are at their home in Florida right now, and I know that they could not be more proud. It was my father who started me on this path when I was a child, as the president mentioned. My father made the fateful decision to transition from his job as a public high school history teacher and go to law school. Some of my earliest memories are of him sitting at the kitchen table, reading his law books. I watched him study, and he became my first professional role model. My mother, who was also a public high school teacher, provided invaluable support in those early days, working full-time to enable my father's career transition while also guiding and inspiring 4-year-old me. My only sibling, my brother Kitaj, came along half a decade later, and I'm so proud of all that he's accomplished. After graduating from Howard University, he became a police officer and a detective on some of the toughest streets in the inner city of Baltimore. After that, he enlisted in the Army, serving 2 tours of duty in the Middle East. I believe that he was following the example set by my uncles who are in law enforcement. You may have read that I have one uncle who got caught up in the drug trade and received a life sentence. That is true. But law enforcement also runs in my family. In addition to my brother, I had 2 uncles who served decades as police officers, one of whom became the police chief in my hometown of Miami, Florida. I am standing here today by the grace of God as testament to the love and support that I've received from my family. I have also been blessed with many dear friends, colleagues, mentors, law clerks. I could not possibly name all of the people to whom I owe great thanks. But I must mention specifically the 3 brilliant jurists for whom I had the privilege of serving as a law clerk at the outset of my legal career. U.S. District Judge Patty Saris in Massachusetts, U.S. Court of Appeals Judge Bruce Selya in Rhode Island, and last but certainly not least, Associate Justice Stephen Breyer of the Supreme Court of the United States. Justice Breyer, in particular, not only gave me the greatest job that any young lawyer could ever hope to have, but he also exemplified every day in every way that a Supreme Court justice can perform at the highest level of skill and integrity while also being guided by civility, grace, pragmatism, and generosity of spirit. Justice Breyer, the members of the Senate will decide if I fill your seat, but please know that I could never fill your shoes. To my dear family, those who are here with me now and those who are watching from home, I am forever indebted to you for your love and support. To my beloved husband, Patrick, Thank you for being my rock.
Why is there a portrait of Bill Clinton right there?
26 years. I love you. To my daughters, Talia and Layla, you are the light of my
I don't like it.
Please know that whatever title I may hold or whatever job I may have, I will still be your mom. That will never change. There are so many other people I would love to be able to address and to thank, but time is short, so let me end by sharing an interesting coincidence that has actually meant a great deal to me over the years. As it happens, I share a birthday with the first Black woman ever to be appointed as a federal judge, the Honorable Constance Baker Motley. We were born exactly 49 years to the day apart. Today, I proudly stand on Judge Motley's shoulders, sharing not only her birthday, but also her steadfast and courageous commitment to equal justice under law. Judge Motley's life and career has been a true inspiration to me as I have pursued this professional.
I'm pretty sure that was Bill Clinton.
I am fortunate enough to be confirmed.
And it weirded me out.
Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. I can only hope that my life and career, my love of this country and the Constitution, and my commitment to upholding the rule of law and the sacred principles upon which this great nation was founded will inspire future generations of Americans. Thank you again, Mr. President, for this extraordinary honor.
I forgot to introduce the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and the second gentleman.
Nobody gives a shit about Jill Biden.
Second, Doug is Emhoff. They're both here as well, so thank you. Thank you all.
Oh, you big goof.
President Biden.
How are you going to upstage her like that? Oh, I forgot to talk about Jill.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, a historic nomination as the first Black woman nominated to serve.
God! What? Why? Why Joe Biden? Don't make me relitigate the 2020 fucking primary again. Why Joe Biden? Why fucking Joe Biden? RB, you're not gonna like it, but it was the fucking baby boomers in the Democratic Party. They were scared of Bernie. All the young people were on the Bernie train. If we'd had just a fraction more of the support from the baby boomers. But no, they were raised on Red Scare propaganda. I like this dude. Listen to what he's got to say.
He has been working on Supreme Court confirmation since he was 32, when the first one came up when he was in the Senate. It's hard to believe, but that was about 50 years ago. And then we heard.
I don't care about Joe's dick.
On the shoulders.
That's the point. It's not about Joe's dick.
Appointed to the federal bench by Lyndon Johnson, and so it is this moment in the long history.
That's why I laid out while Judge Jackson was speaking.
Rhonda, let's go to you for what comes next.
Because it was about her. It was her moment. Other than to comment on the Bill Clinton painting, which I thought was incredibly creepy. If you're listening to the audio of this, they did a like a side shot.
Where do we go from here?
Of like the press looking at her giving her speech, and there was a painting of Bill Clinton up on the adjacent wall.
And I've been talking to Senator Durbin about it.
Like, it was very creepy to me that the proceedings were being watched over by fucking Bill Clinton.
Point out as well, a lot of people are saying that this may be a little insensitive, given that this nomination announcement has happened while the world is in turmoil over in Ukraine.
I think it was insensitive because he came back out was like, "Hey, I forgot to mention Jill, Doug are here. Give it up for Jill and Doug over there." Yeah, walked out.
67 days for this.
Look at Joe Biden
To play out from the announcement. announcement of the nominee to the full floor vote. So if this nominee is placed by the time Breyer retires, which is around June, they are running up against May or late April or so before they would really need to get this done. So that may also be one of the reasons Biden stuck to announcing this pick this week, even though there was so much going on. And I know from
I said it was a good PR move. That was one of my comments when we were coming on. Announcing this today allows the Supreme Court to dominate the news cycle through the weekend, as opposed to Russia.
Touring the Capitol Hill. Usually that's what happens. Now, given that COVID is still with us, that may change up. It may be virtual, but usually the nominee goes on a tour in the Hill to meet members of the Judiciary Committee, members of leadership. There's photo ops, so we'll likely see that process start playing out soon. And then the committee will have a set of hearing dates where she will be in front of them. Each member will get some time to question her. We do expect them to ask some tough questions. Durbin said that. He expects tough questions. And even though she's been through this process 3 times now, this is somewhat a different layer of scrutiny because this is a
boy howdy.
This is about the most secure job in Washington is a Supreme Court justice because they can't be removed. So I suspect that there are going to be some very targeted questions that may not.
After the contentious hearings we've seen over
the Senate will take a vote, a full
Amy Coney Barrett,
it only takes a simple majority to confirm
Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch.
So we'll see how that plays out. Of course, that's going to be part of my job in the next weeks.
Seeing the way the Republicans behave towards a Democratic nominee and a woman of color, it's not going to be pretty.
Of course, you have 2 swing votes, but again, you also have some Republicans who are expressing some.
That's why we don't need old white men that only care about their fucking dick running the show.
How this is going to play out in the next few weeks.
All right.
No offense, RB, but that's why I wouldn't vote for you to be president either, you know?
Judge Jackson, but you never know sort of what happens along in the process. We are watching 3 Republicans in particular who supported her in her last confirmation.
Don't take that as an insult. I wouldn't vote for me to be president either.
It's an opportunity for members of the Judiciary Committee
because I can think of a lot better people.
A moment of fame as well. It's not all about the judge who's before them who hopes to become a Supreme Court justice.
Absolutely, Libby, and the Judiciary Committee is evenly split right now because it's a 50.
I wouldn't vote for any of my friends
on the floor
to be president.
The Democrat to watch is Ben Ray Lujan, the freshman senator from New Mexico who had a heart attack and is recuperating. They could need his vote. The 3 Republican senators who voted,
he is supposed to be back in ample time.
Circuit Court are Lisa Murkowski, who's in cycle in Alaska, meaning she's up for re-election, so she may be less inclined to vote for a Democratic nominee in this environment.
I'm like, my eyes are so red.
Who voted against Amy Coney Barrett for process reasons and has said she wants a fair game process, and Lindsey Graham, who is the only member of the Senate
Lindsey Graham,
who's a Republican who's voted for Jackson for the Circuit Court. Graham kind of calling her the radical left candidate. He had endorsed Michelle Childs, the judge from South Carolina. So it seems like her odds are good to get confirmed, but it could be close. The other name we're watching, Mitt Romney, who Biden has reached out to directly, talked to before he made this announcement, but voted against her for the Circuit Court.
And just one quick correction, James. Senator Lujan had a stroke.
And
so that's So there's of course there's a big watch to ensure that he does return to the Senate, and just that
he looks good. Like we heard from him on Sunday, I believe it was. We played the video of him.
How tight and perilous their control over the Senate is, which sort of goes to Rhonda's point about everyone wanting to get this moving forward from the White House on down to the Democrats in the Senate, down the road on Pennsylvania Avenue. Let's bring in Robert Barnes, who covers the Supreme Court for the Washington Post. Bob, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, just take a moment and contextualize for us the significant historic nature of what we witnessed today.
Yeah, it is historic, obviously.
Like if they take back the Senate, there will not be a Supreme Court nominee seated.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
I think they will try to
on the Supreme Court
stall until the election.
Described what she wondered what school children thought when they looked at the Supreme Court and saw, as she put it, all these men and this one tiny woman.
They have to they have to have a Republican vote for her in the Judiciary Committee to advance it forward.
Something for us to think about.
Manchin and Sinema kill the filibuster for that specific reason.
It doesn't change the balance of power in the court, right? It doesn't necessarily change the liberals versus the conservatives. But what would she?
It replaces a more left-minded young person with.
Doors,
it replaces a liberal with a more left-minded young person.
We watch, or really
younger person
in the room when we hear
a Gen Xer,
arguments, and the justices have a chance to ask questions and direct things.
Well, you're right. This is not going to change the ideological balance of the court. It's one liberal justice replacing another, but it is one that's 30 years younger than the person she's going to be replacing. And so it sort of at least secures that small and dwindling liberal part of the court. But the law is about experience as well as the rule of law. She brings a lot of different things to the court. I think that it's been mentioned before, her role as a public defender. That is something that the court doesn't have right now. She was a trial judge for most of her time. The only other justice that has that experience right now is Justice Sotomayor. The rest of the court are made up of appellate judges, or in the case of Elena Kagan, she was not a judge at all. And so they all bring their own experiences. They all sort of ask.
My eyes are so fucking red.
We've heard that she is a conciliatory, a consensus builder. At least that's what the president said.
I am looking forward to confirmation hearings. We will stream those.
The court takes on these days.
Fucking, I love that shit.
Sort of ideological decisions, but the justices have all said that the experiences that each one brings to the table.
That's like I would stream more.
They see something different than
like if we had like big bills that were passing and shit, but the fucking Democrats haven't passed anything.
Justice Breyer to see this term through and help craft the decisions of the cases he's.
They ain't been able to pass shit.
Judge Jackson is indeed confirmed. She'd be joining the court for the next term.
Since I've been doing a streaming political talk show, the Democrats haven't had like one of those all-night sessions where they're having a vote-a-thon on amendments to try to pass this gigantic fucking bill. Don't have the the Obamacare fucking fiasco like what happened in 2009.
From Judge Jackson's alma mater,
because the Democrats haven't done shit.
University of North Carolina. And there are a lot who believe that the court would not have taken these cases unless the court was ready to end the use of race in making admission decisions. The court has said that it can be used at this point as a small part or one of many factors that universities look at when they decide how to build their student bodies.
I don't know. This guy is upsetting me. I don't think I like him very much. He reminds me of Adam from Adam Ruins Everything. Only older and not fun. I don't like him. I don't like him. Sorry, dude. You're probably a lovely individual that I would have a biscuit with. But just you were upsetting me at the moment. I didn't want to listen to you talk anymore. Not high enough for this shit. Too high for this shit, one or the other. What's going on with the war? Where's Warlord with the war check-in? Apparently Russia is wanting to come back to the table and talk. That was the last I'd heard earlier today. They keep coming to my apartment. They can't, because it's like they ripped out my HVAC unit, put a whole new system in, cut holes in my closet. They came back in today and put the drywall and fucking painted. But I'm like, Jesus, you guys gotta stop like fucking knocking on my door at like 8:30 in the morning. I don't like it. Glad I was awake. I just happened to be awake. If I had been like awake, it would have like really sucked. Like I would have went off on the dude. I don't want to go off. I don't want to go off on a working man just doing his job. But if I had been awake and he woke me up and shit, because I'm not fun. I'm not. You ask anybody that slept with me. Holy shit, I'm not fun of a morning. I'm not a fun person to be around. I gotta get up. I gotta take a shower. I gotta have my coffee. About an hour after I've been up, that's when I like to smoke, get a little buzz going on, and then I'm a pleasant individual. Well, I don't break out the weed for them because they work for the apartment complex. What if they're uptight and they want to get me in trouble? They can get me kicked out of my apartment complex. Not saying that it's not legal where I'm at or what have you. Just saying. This is the complex coming in and doing this. Put on music for him. Well, this morning the dude got Jim Cornette. I was listening to Jim Cornette's drive-through. And you know, like he was kind of an older guy. He seemed very nice. Might have been a little rude to him at first, but then I was totally pleasant with him. He's getting ready to leave. He's got like buckets and shit, and he's got a ladder on his shoulder. He's like, "Can you get the door for me?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, of course. Well, where are my manners? I'm so fucking sorry." Like, here you go, dude. I was more concerned with making sure that the cats didn't get out. Why you gotta come work in my apartment? Like, in fucking... They kept me up. I tried to take a nap the other afternoon. They woke me up hammering in somebody else's... Apparently they're taking out the system in somebody else's apartment. Fucking heard the hammering and shit. Didn't let me take a nap. I don't even know what fucking day it was. Wednesday. I was bad off. Cause I don't think I got any sleep the night before because I've been having problems with Maynard. Maynard is misbehaving. He gets up on a TV stand in the bedroom and he flicks at the blinds. He meow, meow, meow. And he goes over and he scratches his claws on the wall. He's just a little fucking dick. There can be weed. I'm sorry. I saw RB's message about weed. There could be food in his bowl. I don't know why he wants me to wake up. And I'm not a fun person to be like. I'd never hurt one of my cats, but like, he's playing with fire, doing this shit when I'm asleep. I don't know what I'm gonna do to him. I might throw him across the room. I love the motherfucker. I don't want to do this to him, but I'm not in control of myself when I'm asleep. But he's probably in there on the bed sleeping right now. That's why I do not care to go and get in his face and meow in his face whenever he's trying to sleep. I'm keeping his potential down. He's really come out of his shell. He's such a fucking asshole. Age of Kitty. They're all in there. Oh, there's a socks on the cat tree. Maynard and Smokey are nowhere to be found. That's how I locked Maynard out, and it was just me and Smokey in the bed. Smokey fucking curled right up to me, and me and him went to sleep. It was nice until the dude came knocking at the door. Oh, Smokey got up and vomited. I remember that. I had to clean that up. That's why I was awake. Smokey got up and he was sitting on my like end table that's beside my bed. And he fucking threw up all over my fucking table, and I got up and cleaned it up. And that's when the dude came to my door. Paint my walls. So I went ahead and made coffee. I just finished drinking that coffee, which was really weird. I had already ate. I was feeling hungry. I had a slice of pizza. But then I went back to coffee. Time I'm getting ready for this thing called the Freak Show. It comes on at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific. It is myself and my co-host Sparkles Lavendar, and a whole cast of other characters like Quackers the Math Duck, Crocs McGee. Who knows who will make an appearance on the Freak Show? Apparently my internet's starting to fuck up. It's probably a good time to bounce anyway. See if I've got a... Again, it says I'm fucked up over here on the Twitch, so who knows what's going on.